I'm a mother of four, all the way from Benin City. I came to join this process. I'm a mother. I feel the pain of a mother. I imagine that mother when they said that when children they inside that bush. If it happened to me, I'm not gonna stand down. So that's why I flew all the way from Benin City. Come join this process. People go out. We suffer too much. We want to suffer again. Poverty too much. We need to end bad government. We need to take them again. You understand? Don't come out. That's not going to join our elected president. So we don't die here for this suffer. We don't cry every day. And then imagine that man when we get 4 children. Our children should not go anywhere again. So we need to start bad government.
Free all captives and insecurity now. We stepped out yesterday to protest the worsening levels of insecurity and the mass abductions all around the country. What was wild to see was that Tinubu and his supporters had rented a crowd of counter-protesters, majority of which were women. These women have children. In case you don't know why we are out there protesting, the children that were taken from the school in Oyo State, they still have not been found. Let me put this in perspective for you. There's a community called Woro in Kwara State. February 3rd into 4th this same year, by 5:30 p.m., insurgents attacked this community. Now, from 5:30 p.m. overnight into the next morning, there was a sustained attack. They stated they massacred people. About 200 people were killed. And you know how many people were taken away? About 176 people were taken away. These people are still in captivity. There was an attack on Ngoshe community in Borno. There was an attack on Musa community in Borno, also a primary and secondary school. Those children have still not returned home. It could be your children tomorrow. What am I saying? It would eventually be your children. It would eventually be, just in case you don't know what you're doing. This is the breaking point. This is literally the end of us. If we allow this to continue, this is the end of us. We're complaining about how difficult things are, how high the cost of living is slowly becoming. But how are you even going to be able to hustle or to worry about making a better living if you're not even alive?
I've lived in Lagos all my life. In the last elections, I really wasn't with Atiku Abubakar, and I've lived in Lagos all my life. And growing up, aside from Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, who is termed as the father of modern Lagos, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu brought a lot of panache to leadership, and he did a lot for Lagos. And not only did he work in Lagos, he was a key opposition figure at the time. He challenged President Obasanjo. And so he was a very admirable political figure. And after his term, he picked one of the best hands to be governor of Lagos State, Raji Fashola. And, you know, to date, right, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, he turned the lagoon. Lagos became a modern city. And so when he chose the path of the presidency, I kind of thought, and of course he was rather inclusive, because at the time there were other people who came from other ethnic regions on his cabinet, and he drove it in a very inclusive way, and sold us the belief that Lagos was a mini Nigeria, that he was going to be the president for all people for all times. Now, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed, and disappointment comes from the fact that you had high expectations. And what has translated, and everybody complains that, you know, he came as a regional champion. And what has happened is that the experiment has shown that regional champions don't necessarily make central champions. Now, what is the greatest accusation against him? He's very parochial. He has surrounded himself with the Lagos cabal, and that's it. And it's almost as if it's a Lagos-run government, is Lagos State in Abuja. Now, so that experiment for me, the jury is out on that one. And again, you know, everything that worked in Lagos, I don't see happening here. Now, I decided that I'm done with regional champions. And so I want somebody who is one step away from being president. Now, in other democracies around the world, it is believed that a person must have some kind of military backing in their background. And why is that? Because soldiers, especially in Nigeria, would go to all parts of the country. And so they know the country in a personal way. And so it creates the synergy around him. Another argument is to why Atiku Abubakar. Everybody says, oh, the problem is not the president, it's the people around the president. And I've looked at the people around Atiku Abubakar. Now, one of the people around Atiku Abubakar is David Mark. At the time I was in the National Assembly, David Mark was easily one of the most effective stabilizing figures in the National Assembly, so much so that he was Senate President back-to-back 2 terms. Now, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal is another key figure around Atiku Abubakar. He was my speaker. I worked very closely with him, a man of great temperament, great intellect, and a steady hand as well. But one of the most important things, as far as I'm concerned, is their defiance in the face of autocracy. Under Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, the independence of the National Assembly was key. And so when you look at what is happening and the erosion of our democratic structure, systems and institutions, you want people who believe in the supremacy of the Constitution. Another thing, and you know, everybody talks about, and somebody who had left the political party said, oh, Atiku Abubakar never spoke about terrorism or whatever, banditry. And, you know, aside from offering echo, which is, you know, condemning the bandits and all that, Atiku Abubakar probably did one of the most consequential things after the Chibok abductions. Now, after the Chibok abductions, 14 girls first were enrolled at the American University of Nigeria. And you know that's his.
Yeah, in Yola.
In Yola. And, you know, he taught, and by that action, not only was he offering them education, he was also challenging the ideology of Boko Haram, which is Western education is bad.